Namaste, beloveds. This is a video of my rebirth, the rebirth of Mutha Wit. It is, how shall I say, very powerful in the nature of how it came about. I'll put it that way. It came about because of my own hard-headedness, my own willingness and unwillingness. There are many ways rebirthing can happen. It can happen at an easier way, or it can happen the forced hard way. Okay? And guess who chose the forced hard way? Bumping it down to the white meat, yeah. All the way. But everything is what it is. And we learn the way we learn, you know? And my way of learning has never been an easy way. It has never been just listening and going with what I was told on some things. And the thing that thing is when it comes to my, no other way to say it, but my romantic interests, when I get entangled romantically with, I'm not gonna mess with my hair. Okay, breathe. When I get interested in someone romantically, as a goddess, I tend to become like a vine, and I create my own realities, and I enwrapped myself around these realities. But at the same time, I realize that there are ways of learning for me, and not all of these attractions and needs will be given or received. There we go. Received the way that I want them to, or the way that my little ego, or excuse me, ain't nothing little about me, my big ego, okay? My big ego wants to handle things. And so I tend to get all raveled up. And this particular time, I was given the wisdom of the grandmother, the great-grandmother, or the one who comes and smacks me down. Her. She did it in a way that I was like, I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to do it that way. I got free will. I got free choice. I can do it this way. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah, that was me. Down to the white meat, y'all. And so I took that stance on this particular lesson. And the lesson was on focus. And I was being told that I was dividing my focus. And when you divide your focus, you divide your abilities and your strength, your protection becomes weakened because your intentions have become divided. They're no longer one. See, It has to be one to be strong. It has to be one to give you the protection that you need. It has to be one in order to get the right amount of the catalyst to spring from. I hope that's making sense. It's coming out as it's coming out. This is not scripted, as you all know. In saying that, I wound up in the hospital with a UTI, a sepsis UTI, which is blood poisoning. Don't ask me how it happened. I am a big woman. I've always been a big woman. Cleanliness was instilled. So a lot of people say, that's the nasty woman's thing, that you don't know how to clean yourself properly, that you're doing this and you're doing that and you're doing... No, that's not the case with me. I wasn't focusing on what I needed to focus on. And a weakness occurred where it did, where my strength and my center is, my core is. My core, my strength comes from that root center of me. And that root center of me was compromised by my lack of focus. And I want to do a show based upon that. I want to do a blog talk radio show based upon that. And I'm going to see if I can gather some sisters who are knowledgeable on these things and come up with a forum to discuss, because I am every woman and I speak for us all. And what I go through for us all. And I know that. And my life would not make sense otherwise. And my memories would not make sense otherwise. And this new rebirthing that has happened wouldn't make sense. So, in saying that, I want to move on with that portion of it. I am reborn and refocused. And being reborn, I realized this. I was put in the hands of some very wonderful people. And you get what you give. Even though I was very sick, I was very giving. I smiled. I said hello. I greeted you. I thanked you for coming and for looking after me, and for the women that came to empty the trash or whatever they did. I thanked them, because they are all part of this healing and rebirthing part, whether they know it or not. And I thanked them because it was in their life contract to do so and to be so at that moment in time. That is the other part. Before we get here, we sign contracts. We make agreements. And even knowing that we may not remember those contracts and agreements, but we hope and we fight and we ask and we pray, and it's in us to remember. And when we choose to remember and to know and to connect with that ancient part of us, we do so. We do so. Without any rigmarole, without anyone's help. We do it internally. we do it visually, we bring it to us. One of the things that I have been dreaming about, seeing, being communicated with at this time of my rebirthing is that this is one of the reasons why I set up this whole rebirthing program, and I was ready to teach it and to go through with it and to move with it, and I got distracted. My energy was not focused, and it did not do what it was designed to do. And I realize now that that was just the, I don't want to say foreplay, but that was just the groundwork. There we go. It was just the groundwork of what was to come, of this actual rebirthing that is taking place right now. There are many rebirths, and each one will give you a key to unlock some secrets that were placed inside of you through your ancestors, through your DNA and your genetics. One of the things that was given to me was the knowledge of the 144,000. That is a grid number. It is a mathematical formulation based upon the ratios, the amount of ratios that can be present at one particular time dispersed throughout the planet. These ratios have different ways of communicating. They are different nationalities. They are different, just about everything you can think of. What they have in common is that they are ratios, is that they are openers, is that they plant seeds. There's no competition between us because we're all connected, and we know that, and we don't have to say my way is better than your way. We don't have to say I'm right and you're wrong. We don't have to say there's one way, my way. We don't have to do any of that. There's no jealousy, there's no competition, because there's a oneness. We understand that we are the Melissa, we are the HOURI, we are their names. We are the messengers of the great queen, of the great mother. And in saying that, I am again so exhilarated, and I am healing on so many levels, and then again on so many levels. I am newborn, and it is amazing. But this particular time of my rebirth, one thing that I do know is that I received my wings. I received my wings this time. And for me, that is thrilling for me. And I'll explain that as I go along with what I'm going to be saying. And I'm going to share some things with you. I'm going to get back to the visions and the dreams, the speeches, the whatever you want to call them. I call them communications. How can I put it? I started off a very long time ago with the importance of the bees. This didn't come from me. It came from the vessel of the goddess. Okay? And what she was showing me was the understanding, the inner standing of the hive mentality and how it has been demonized, how it has been bastardized, how it has been made nasty. And how it has been regulated to only one function: to produce honey, to pollinate, and that's it. That is not the design. In ancient of history, the most ancient of times, the bee was always revered, the queen bee especially. There is a reason for that. And I'm going to share many, I'm looking at the minutes when I look up there. There are many layers to this. There are many reasons for this. And I'm going to share a lot of things that have been covered over and hidden and bastardized and changed. And it's up to you to look into it, to do your research, due diligence, to find what resonates for you, the truth of it. And the truth of things resonate inside, not outside. They resonate within, and you just know. And sometimes we're given information only what we can handle at that particular time. And at that particular time, before this rebirthing, I was only able to handle a very small, minute portion of the sanctity and the sacredness of the bee and what she symbolizes and all that she means. And why we see what is happening to her and her children today. There is a very negative force that is trying to remove her and her knowledge. They don't want you to remember. They don't want you to learn. They don't want you to reawaken to this fact. Everything that you need to know, everything is tied into the bee. Everything. And I'm going to share some very distinct things. I'm going to share what Mama gave to me, and then I'm going to go to the Women's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects, written by Barbara G. Walker. Okay. Let me kind of ground and center myself here. And I do have, I'm not burning sage right now. I'm burning some resins that my friend Koya gave me. And what I'm burning right now is called dragon's blood. So, and those of you who are fearful of words and names and associate all different kinds of things, please go look it up. Please don't let words or pictures or phrases scare you or put fear into you. Okay? There are reasons why those things have that fear attached to them. It is to distract you. It is to disjoint you. It is to prevent you from looking further. Okay. Um, some of the visions involved regeneration and rebirth. I saw cornfields. I saw stalks of corn, some healthy, some unhealthy, some, I guess you'd call it modified, but I called it alien. Alien corn. um, and we were, and I say we, I mean humanity. We were gleaning and harvesting the corn that had already grown. And we didn't know the difference between them. And some of us felt that different ones were different. We had like a deja vu when we would touch it, when we would feel it, you know. And so there were some of us who would go to the places where they had gathered all the corn, and we would say, this must be separated into 3 different piles, because there are 3 different types of corn here. And each one of these is for a different kind of individual. And the first 2 were for those with human souls. The other one was the modified one, was the alien one, was the one for those who did not possess a human soul, but walked amongst the corn, or grew up with the corn in the same manner, but was different, but was regulated to feed those without souls. The other thing was the bees and the honeycomb and the situation inside of the hive. A hive consists of all these royal princesses, but only one gets to be the queen bee of that hive system, and the others serve her, you know. And the ones who are killed, who because there is no competition for the queen, there is only the queen, and they're fed royal jelly, okay. And so there's a special diet for a queen bee. There's special information that she receives that nurtures her and that activates her intuition and her way of learning and being and knowing and ruling. It comes from the royal jelly that is produced, okay? And the hexagon shape represents the symbol 6, the number 6. And that has its own properties as well. I'm going to stop my particular sharing, and I'm going to bring Barbara Walker in on this, her wisdom, because it explained a lot. I received all of what she is saying in the visions and in the the knowing, and in the plugging in of being reborn. But so many people desire backup, so to speak. They don't know how to recognize an oracle, a prophetess, a vessel. Some don't, they have forgotten that wisdom flows, and especially the female system is equipped to receive information in ways that a male never could. And let me move on, because that's a whole nother area of stuff. As you can see, I have it all kind of bookmarked here. I had one of the dreams I had, and I just saw the cosmic egg here. One of the dreams I had, I was in this house, and in this house, there were so many different apartments, compartments, and there were all these different people living in there. And for some reason, my mother, who has passed, had selected this place for us to live in. Only my daughter and her family was there, and my son was there, and my brother was there, and we were all there. And I was walking through this, I had left our place, and I was walking through this place, and the more I walked, the bigger it expanded and got, and the more people that were there. And the portions that I walked through were ancient and dusty and dirty and overcrowded, and you could tell they had been lived in, and people had left all of their stuff and jewelry and knickknacks and everything you can think of was just there, just left there. And and this always amazes me in my dreams. This is a recurring thing. There are no bathrooms. The facilities are always messed up. And I am always going to look to take me a bath. Okay? I'm always going to look for a bath or a shower or something. And the facilities is always messed up. I mean, and when I say messed up, I mean broken or the parts all over the place, or just filthy and disgusting and just all over. But getting back from that, I want to get back to one area of this house that I went in. I was walking and I walked into the kitchen area, and of course it was just like the rest, all messed up. And there were these black shaped things on the floor. Lots of them in a pattern all out the door. A trail of them all out the door. And I thought, that must be a big rat or a cat or a rabbit or something. Some kind of animal in here pooping, you know. And here comes this crazy little lady with her bowl, and she's got this little bowl, this little black bowl about this big, and it's got like a powdery brush in it, and she's got this concoction in there, and she goes around to eat. She's telling me, no, these are the beetle eggs. And she goes around and she takes her little bowl and a concoction and she brushes it over whatever that is in there. She brushes it over each one of these eggs. And some of them, and I have a feeling that the ones that are dead or getting ready to hatch or something, I have no idea. But she snatches them up and she puts them in this other bowl from her back, and she runs bow-legged out of the door with them, all happy and everything. And I'm like, that is so strange. That strange little woman. What is this? And they were goo. The green goo was, it was, but they were. I'm understanding now as I came to um, this book that those were cosmic eggs, as represented in the Egyptian dung beetle. Um, so let me just start. And you'll hear Diva Pramel in the back, and this is the album Into the Light that you hear. And I'm going to read from the Cosmic Egg. And I'm going to show you the picture. I hope you can see it. Yes. This is the Cosmic Egg. I want you to look at the divisions of it, and I want you to see it. And then I want you to turn it. And I want you to understand what the eye is all about, okay? Okay. Let's get to the Cosmic Egg. It says, it used to be a common idea that the can't read now. Reborn can't read. What's that word? Primeval universe, or the Great Mother who created it, took the form of an egg. There are myths like that of Leto, who hatched the sun and moon, Apollo and Artemis, out of an egg, and Hathor, who hatched the golden egg of the sun at the beginning of the world. Petronius described a zodiacal table with an egg-shaped goddess at its hub. Mother Earth lies in the world's midst, rounded like an egg, and all her blessings are there inside of her, as in a honeycomb. The cosmic egg of mystical iconography carried all Arabic numerals and alphabetical letters combined within an ellipse to show that everything that can be numbered or named is contained within one form at the beginning. The cosmic egg thus becomes a substitute for the logos and an expression of the premium mobile, where deities are created by human symbols. According to the Egyptian ritual, the whole universe is the egg conceived in the hour of the Great One. Okay, and I'm going to move on. Moving on to the Dakini. A Dakini was a tantric priestess, especially a woman connected with funerary rites, and also one of the many goddesses of the afterworld, emanations of Kali, like Aphrodite's HOURI, or the sacred harlots of Ishtar. The Dakini seems to have been an apotheosized form of an earthly goddess woman. The title means Skywalker. Dakinis presided over secret rituals held in cremation grounds and other places of the dead where ordinarily folk feared to go. This may have some bearing on the European tradition of funerary priestesses called Velas, or Velas, who held meetings in cemeteries. The idea also entered into the witch tradition. Intimately connected with the tantric initiation was the famous red Dakini. An inner realization of her spirit was considered essential to the enlightenment of the yogi. As a death goddess, she would be encountered in the afterworld. Okay, moving on. And this is in no particular order, just what was given to me and just how I received it, I guess. The other one that came up during this intuitive research was the devil. And I know that's going to stop a lot of you in your the devil. Let it go, people. It's a word. It's a word. It's a word. What you give that word power over you. If you fill it with fear, guess what? It becomes whatever you fill it with. If you fill it with nothing, guess what it is? Nothing. You empower that word. You empower it in your consciousness. Just like you empower the word God. No different. Devil. It has been truly said. I'm gonna put this up here so I can read it. Okay. Okay. There we go. Don't like that one. Okay. Devil. It has been truly said, the devil is the curse of those who have abandoned the goddess. Oh, that's deep, huh? Even his name was derived ultimately from the Sanskrit Devi, D-E-V-I, Devi, meaning goddess. Through Persian, Deva, D-A-E-V-A, okay, better. The Latin diva, divas, and deus, or deuce. Patriarchal Europe always confused woman with devil, her genitalia with the mouth of hell, her very motherhood with the vehicle of original sin, and male artists often painted or sculpted the Christian devil with female breasts. The devil was deliberately constructed by the Christian church for good reasons having to do with another kind of confusion that equated him with God. The God of Isaiah, who claimed to be the creator of evil, at Isaiah 45:7, was no more acceptable to Christian theology than the cyclic goddesses who gave both birth and death, and so encompassed in all blessings and misfortune at once. Christian apologists insisted on a God who was all good, all pure, uninvolved with ordinary matter, and incapable of evil. So, out of bits and pieces of the old pagan deities, they created a devil to account for the world's obvious evils, pretending that their all-good God had actually created him, an insoluble paradox to this day. Instead of facing up to death, illness, natural disasters, and other vicissitudes of fate, they could blame such things on the devil and woman, even though some were still called acts of God. For example, early Christian theologians held that there was no such thing as death in the world until God created it as a punishment for the sin of Eve. Ain't that deep, y'all? That there was no death in this world until the sin of Eve. I give us a roof. Okay, the fact of Christian theology is that the entire scheme of salvation was utterly dependent on belief in the devil. Not only did the devil relieve God of responsibility for the world's evil, he also provided the need for a savior. Through the myth of temptation and fall, he gave the church, okay, its greatest weapon, the fear of damnation, by which to control the recalcitrant populations of an entire continent. The idea of the devil could never be abandoned, lest the whole power structure of the church should crumble. The devil took charge of the eternal torture of sinners on God's orders, an unfortunate notion that seemed to place God in the position of a Hitler commanding his concentration camp overseer. If you need to replay that, replay it. Matter of fact, I'll read it again. The devil took charge of the eternal torture of sinners on God's orders. An unfortunate notion that seemed to place God in the position of a Hitler commanding his concentration camp overseer. Still, this notion could not be forsworn. A devil who blatantly disobeyed God and refused to torture sinners would have been no use at all to the ecclesiastical establishment. In effect, the devil was God's alter ego, his shadow self, as prefigured by the Persian twin deities, Dark Ahriman, Ahriman, and Bright Ahura Mazda. Now I understand why Ahura Mazda kept showing up for me. In the Middle Ages, there were still many remnants of the Gnostic idea that the Creator, Jehovah, was the evil deity himself, having constructed the world of matter to trap souls and bring them to destruction. During the centuries, I want to stop for a minute because I did write something up here. I always take notes, and when I read, and if something strikes me, I make notations on the page because it's just so profound to me at that moment that I have to share it. And this is what he said. He said, "This is so damn deep, it explains so much of Mel Gibson's Passion of Christ, Satan as a woman. Remember in the Passion of Christ, Satan was a woman. It makes sense, people. It makes sense. It's starting to make sense. The unraveling has begun." Okay. And this is, during the centuries of the witch hunts, the devil assumed preeminence as the witch's god, supposedly carrying out his plan to take over the world with an army of his worshippers, mostly women. How this was to be done against the will of the all-powerful God, the church never explained. It simply used the devil as an excuse to slaughter millions of women in 5 centuries. 5 centuries of persecution, such as the world had never seen before. On this bloodshed, modern patriarchal society was built. And this is what Mama gave me. The patriarch can be toppled by exposing the truth about the devil. Patriarchy can be toppled by exposing the truth about the devil. Understand what is going on across the world right now, in the areas that are war-torn and where knowledge, ancient knowledge, is being thwarted, is being ransacked, is being rehidden, is being reburied, is being burnt. Understand what is happening in those places. There is much that we don't see or don't recognize or have not awakened yet to see and understand and connect with these things. But see, the one thing that I'm here to tell you is that energy never dies. Energy never dies. It recycles. It is reborn. And yes, at one point, it dies, but that is the cycle of its life. And then it is reborn into a new cycle. And this new cycle will continue until its cutoff point, until its season has ended. And then it will be reborn again. Okay. The devil had many names. Some were drawn from Yahweh's biblical rivals, others from classical pantheons or popular titles for ancient deities. Satan, Beelzebub, Belial, Apollyon, Hades, Pluto, Lord of Flies, Great Serpent, Great Beast, Old Nick, Old Scratch, Old Scratch, Old Scratch. That is just so funny to me. Who's going to be afraid of something called Old Scratch? Okay. Old Scratch is coming to get you. Okay. Dragon, or Lucifer the Lightbringer. A 15th century woodcut shows a typical devil image from a monk's robe. Curiously, mismatched wings and the four-horned crown of Osiris. Where there are any mighty winds and thunders with terrible lightnings, a clergyman wrote, "The devil is abroad." In classic circular reasoning, the clergy proved the existence of the devil from that of God and vice versa. Roger Hutchinson said, "If there is a God, verily, there is a devil also. And if there be a devil, there is no surer argument, no stronger proof, no plainer evidence that there is a God." I want to see if that picture is here. This is a picture from a 15th century manuscript of the devil. And I'm going to try to go online and find it, but I want to share it with you. It has the crown of Osiris wearing it. It also has words pictured there, but this is what the picture of the devil looks like. And you can see the differences in the wings. And look carefully. You see a lot of things in this picture. This in particular, oops, sorry about that. This in particular, this little symbol up here, my finger's going to cover it, on the crown, causes me, there we go. It made me, my eyes are always centered there. And for me, that is something of a mocking dance position to me. It is the trickster. It has that energy to it. It has that rhythm to it. Okay, moving on. Okay, that was that. The other thing was the honeycomb. Growing in the corpse of Samson's lion. You know, I'm sorry to cut it off right here, but I have to link it back to things because I always connect the dots. And my friend had told me, you know, well, why are you going to keep your grandchildren when you know you haven't recovered fully yet? And my thought was, you know, you're right. I'm always playing Samson. Always playing Samson when I don't have to, you know? And so that was my thought. And then later on my thought was, okay, I have to, I guess, capture a battery or something. Let me see if I can. You know what? There will be a part 2. That's what we'll do. So we'll cut this one off here and we will come back to a part 2. So this is the Rebirth of Mutha Wit Part 1, and we'll be right back.